Hey everybody, it's me, Dolores, the pastor's daughter, and I am back with my Sunday videos, y'all. I am so happy that you guys are here. In today's video, we have a special guest, Nay Sanders, y'all, and we also have another special guest, Miss Courtney. So I'm gonna give you guys just a moment to get in here. We're gonna get ourselves situated, and we'll get this show started soon. See you soon. Hey y'all. Hey y'all, go ahead and like the video as you come in, and we are gonna go ahead and get started. So here we have like a bit of a change in the plan. As everyone knows, it's a bit of a challenge from time to time to be a mom, especially a single mom. And, it kind of leads me into why I created this series called Daughter to Daughter, where we expose, educate, and heal. It's about understanding compassion for daughters. And I could have easily named this anything else, right? Woman to woman, anything like that. But I specifically named this daughter to daughter because I want us to change the narrative of how we view women, how we view girls, how we view females. See, it's almost as if when you say it like that, right? When you say girls, women, females, it almost takes something out of who we are. It almost takes the humanity out of it. And so I specifically named this daughter to daughter because I want us to start using those words and looking at people as that's someone's daughter, you know? That's my daughter. That's their daughter. That's his daughter. That's her daughter. That's a daughter. And so it almost it puts the humanity back in it, right? It says, look, that's someone that someone loves, right? A daughter is someone that is loved. And so when you put it like that, it makes it like, okay, there's a human side of this, that someone cares for this woman or this girl or this female, but she's more than that. And I dedicated my first book in my memoir series. I dedicated it to daughters. And let me just read a bit of it for you. This is what the dedication says. It says, to every daughter whose hero was also her villain, you, my sister, are not alone. I stand with you and for you, Dolores. And as we can see that when you place the title of daughter on someone, a woman, a girl, a female, then it doesn't even really matter where she's from. It doesn't matter what her background is. It doesn't matter her religious preference or her sexual preference. It doesn't matter what career she's in or what she's done in her life. It doesn't even matter if she has kids or if she's married or any of those things. What matters is that she's someone's daughter. And so that's why I named it this series Daughter to Daughter. Now, our special guest at this moment is having a bit of difficulty. She is a single mother, and she's having a bit of difficulty with her child at the moment. So, we are going to pivot, and I want to read to you, still sticking with the same topic. There's an article that I ran across in Psychology Today, and it talks about what goes on behind the narcissist's mask. And that's the name of the article. This was published in July 27th, 2013. Now, before I start reading this article, I want to just highlight the fact that I know that there is a lot of people saying the word narcissist, almost to the point where it has become diluted. In fact, I've heard recently that they are thinking about taking um, narcissistic personality disorder out of the DSM. Now, I don't know how true that is, if that was kind of like a hearsay thing. I hadn't actually looked into it myself, but I wouldn't be surprised, because what ends up happening is we normalize bad behavior. And just because it's something that may or may not be looked at as a mental disorder, personality disorder, does not mean that it's any less devastating for those who are on the receiving end of narcissistic abuse, however that is played out. Um, and it's played out in a lot of different ways, right? A lot of us experience abuse, like on the spiritual side of things, which is my story. I experienced narcissistic abuse by way of spiritual means, by way of religion. And so I characterize my experience to be spiritual abuse. Now, spiritual abuse encompasses all of the different other types of abuses, or can encompass all of the other types of abuse. And I would venture to say that narcissistic abuse probably needs to be changed to spiritual abuse, because I believe that everything is spiritual. And though we call narcissism, it really is an evil spirit. That is at play here. And, I don't know what your religious orientation is, or, or anything like that. And to be honest with you, it really doesn't even matter, because we are spiritual beings. So it doesn't even matter what religion you subscribe to. It doesn't change the fact that we are spiritual beings. And when you are abused by a narcissist, you experience that on a very spiritual level. And so I would actually advocate for um, spiritual abuse to be something that we actually normalize saying, and allow people to really like speak out about their experiences. And like I said, it encompasses a lot of things like isolation and financial abuse, sexual abuse in a lot of cases. And mind you, all of these abuses are excused, right? Or are um, attributed to like spirituality and religion, and and all of that stuff. It's the vehicle in which these people use to abuse you. And it's not even that they really believe in their whatever religious orientation they subscribe to, or it's just that they know you believe it. And so that is the means in which they decide to abuse and manipulate and control you. It's very, very disturbing. Okay, you guys, it's very, very disturbing. And so I've made it my mission to really speak out about it. And because I have such an inside knowledge and a wealth of experience and education surrounding this topic, I feel like I am, one of the ideal people to really approach this topic with a lot of care and compassion for those who have experienced it. And I have I'm very, very bold about what I'm doing, but I also show respect and regard for people who don't seem to understand. Now, before I get into the article, I want to tell you guys this. I came up with this like not too long ago. And I feel like there are three types of people in this world, right? I feel like there are deceivers, discerners, and dummies. Okay. Like, and it's not, I'm not saying that to be mean to anybody when I say dummies, right? But I really truly believe that there are three types of people in this world: deceivers, discerners, and dummies, right? So, deceivers are those who are committed to lies, manipulation, to tricking you by any means necessary, getting over on people, abusing people, really looking out for their own for their own self interest, not their best interest, because it's not in their best interest to be that way, but it's in their own selfish interest that they are that way. So we have those types of people that are evil, and those are the deceivers, right? They live their lives as a lie. They are a lie. Everything they do is a lie. Because if you are deceiving in any way, then your whole life is a lie. And then there are discerners, right? And those are the people who can analyze things. They look at the facts of things. They don't take things at just face value, just at what you say, but they're looking at what you do and your mannerisms, and and cross-checking that against what you're saying. But they also have analytical skills. They also have self-awareness skills and critical thinking skills. And so everything they do is not only for their best interest or their self-interest even, but it's for the best interest and the self-interest of those around them. Those are the discerners, right? And then you have the dummies. And so the dummies are like, they are almost like clueless in some ways, right? That's on one end of it, right? And then we have those that are just like, they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to pick a side. They don't want to rock the boat. They don't want to step on any toes. They just don't want it to be the way it is. But see, discerners already know that life is the way it is, and evil exists in this world just like good exists in this world. There are dynamics to things. There are positives and there are negatives, and discerners weigh out those things, whereas dummies don't, right? They're just kind of like, well, whatever type of an attitude, or they just choose to be ignorant in a lot of situations. They are the ones that kind of support, and they don't, in a lot of cases, don't really realize that they're supporting the deceivers of the world. That's like the deceivers little playthings, right? Where it's like, okay, well, we got all these dummies following us, so we can easily deceive. And then we can use these dummies to make the discerners feel like, well, everybody is going along with this, so why are you not going along? And there was this one time in our lives where we felt like, the majority rules. But we know now that that is not the case. There are going to be a lot less discerners in this world than there are deceivers and dummies. So the fact of the matter is that we are a bit of a smaller group. You know what I'm saying? We are not necessarily like, um, we don't have like the big numbers, at least from my perspective, we don't. But I feel like part of my calling is to bring the discerners together, saying that, hey, um, we are not like isolated, and that's part of how deceivers have been able to really manipulate and control us, is by saying, hey, well, you're the only one who's doing this, you're the only one speaking out, you're the only one who thinks this way, you're the only one analyzing things, you're the only one. And so we feel like because we're the only one, then we must be wrong, that we must be off base, that we must be out of pocket, that we must be somehow defective. So this is like, this channel and this platform is, and the app, which I just posted the code there for you, is a community of discerners, right? This is a community where we say, hey, we have all been isolated. We have all been kind of like, scattered, right? Wherever we happen to be in the world, wherever we happen to be doing in the world, we've all been scattered. So the kingdom code is a community of discerners everywhere, where we're saying, hey, it doesn't matter where you're located. You may be isolated in your particular city, or your job or whatever, but you can find a home here among other people who 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 believe in discernment, who believe in looking at things and analyzing things, and making decisions that are based on fact, making decisions with the best interests of ourselves and those around us and the world at large. Discerners are people who don't litter, people who think, okay, well, there's a world that is out there that we have to also consider in our everyday movements, right? So we think about even the simplest things about how we pollute this world, and the decisions that we make about our health, and how we move about, understanding that in a lot of situations things aren't safe, so we have to make smarter decisions about how we move about in this world, knowing that there is evil out there. It's just like, it's discernment in all areas of our lives. And these are a group of people who want to be better, who want to be better and who want to make the world better. And so let me get into this article. And if you guys don't mind, go ahead and like the video. Um, and I want to, apologize. Nay has sent me a message saying that she apologized for not being able to be on tonight. But y'all, like, we totally understand. Like, this is the Daughter to Daughter podcast, and we understand the challenges of motherhood. We understand the plight of daughters. We understand that things happen, and it's all good. Okay, like it's all good. And so I have no shortage of content to share with you all. And so what we're going to do is we're going to stick with the same theme. And when she's able, then we'll do part 2 of this podcast. But I want to start with laying a little bit of groundwork as far as the narcissist mask. And like I said, we use this word a lot, so it's become a bit watered down. But we use the word a lot because it's prevalent. It's a plague that has taken over communities, it's taken over churches, it's taken over jobs, and it's taken over relationships. It really is a thing. And so while we talk about how people have used the word so much, to the point where we've become a bit desensitized about it, we need to realize that there is a very real, very sinister, very dangerous aspect of narcissism that we need to explore. And so we can't afford to let the influx of, this word, or the overuse in some cases of this word, um to dismiss those who are truly suffering at the hands of narcissists. And so this article says what goes on behind the narcissist mask. And it's how narcissists protect themselves from their own falls from grace. Um, and here's how it reads. It says, hardly a week goes by without news of another shocking news story involving the misbehavior of a famous public figure. Anthony Weiner and Elliot Spitzer are only two of the latest to come back from what seemed to be political death. Now, remember I told you guys this article was written in 2013. And since that time, how much longer has that list of names grown? Think about it, right? We have had this list of people like misbehaving, famous people misbehaving. That list has gotten astronomically long, okay? So it says, we marvel at their descent, but even more at their ascent when weeks or years later, they step back into the limelight, seeking to reconnect to their previous glorified state. What personality qualities lead people to commit these blatant abuses of power? Once they've fallen from grace, what could possibly protect them from the shame of ridicule and disdain they're likely to experience should they try to crawl back from their hole? Now, that's if we actually put them in that place where they belong, in the hole. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them don't even make it into the hole, so to speak, because these people are worshiped, they're elevated, they're promoted, they're looked at as holy or anointed in some cases, very charismatic, um, and even flattering, or they may benefit people in certain ways. These are all of their tactics in order for them to be able to crawl back from their hole. But let's keep going. Closer to home, we all know ordinary people in our circle of family and friends who routinely seek to be welcomed back into the fold after being caught in equally blatant, though less broadly known, web of lies, cheating, and exploitation. Could the rich and famous who misbehave share personal qualities with these lesser known but equally shame-proof violators of social norms? Absolutely. I developed this term, I guess, of small town pastors, because we've seen a lot, especially since the date of this article in 2013, that there has been a lot of pastors, apostles, prophets, and stuff that have been exposed here lately, right? But those are the ones who are more well known. Well, there is a smaller group, a group that I call small town pastors, right? And these are the pastors that keep their congregation pretty small, right? And so they're able to do a lot of dirt within communities and really devastate communities without the well-known look at what they're doing. So you've heard different pastors like Jamal Bryant that has been getting caught up in cheating and having babies out of wedlock scandals and all of that stuff, because he's more of a well-known pastor. But when we think about the instances of pastors who are doing devastating things in communities that are smaller, right? Then we don't really, you know, air those out as much. So that's kind of like what the article is saying. It's saying, are these people that you see that are more well known, right? Are they sharing some of the same characteristics and behaviors as some of these smaller known? And I'm going to tell you, yes. These small town preachers and really, I think in a lot of cases, are able to get away with even more dirt because it's small. Okay? So let's keep reading. We typically associate lack of regret or remorse over behavior that exploits or hurts others with psychopathology, the personality trait central to antisocial personality disorder. Put psychopathology together with the self centeredness of narcissism and the joy in twisting other people's will to their own, which is Machiavellianism, and you've got psychology's dark triad. Now, if you guys heard me this morning on my live on Facebook, I talked about the dark triad. Okay. There's a thing called the dark triad, and this is a combination of different personality characteristics or behaviors that are so freaking sinister and so devastating that they actually make the victims look crazy, right? And I'm just like, I know from time to time, y'all are like, this girl is losing her mind. She's losing it. And it's just like, how do you really make sense of something that's so unsensible, or something that is just so like devastating? And so really I feel blessed, right? Because I have education, like I have 2 master's degrees. I'm a nationally certified counselor. But how many people have, been the victims of these dark triad individuals, these narcissists, these Machiavellian, these psychopaths, but that don't have the education, don't have the ability to speak about it like I can. So I feel like it's even more of a calling and a purpose of mine. Like I have to do this, right? Because who else can? There are a lot of people who have experienced what I've experienced. A lot of people who have experienced worse than I have experienced. So to be a voice for those people is a purpose and a calling that I don't take lightly. But let's keep on reading, okay? She says, however, you may not have to go far beyond narcissism alone to explain the otherwise inscrutable search for forgiveness of the bad boys and girls who seem oblivious to type of reputation damage that would cripple the rest of us. It's crazy. And the fact of the matter is these people are very charismatic, right? They are probably like the life of the party type people. And in some ways you are almost fascinated, and you can't stop watching in some ways, like, because a lot of them have taken to social media and have really like amassed a following. They get lots of money and lots of support um for their dysfunction. Like, we actually live in a society where this type of behavior is normalized because we enjoy watching it. We enjoy consuming this type of content that is really devastating to the people who are closest to these people, right? Let me continue reading. Although narcissists project an image of self confidence as well as self absorption, the traditional psychological understanding of their central defining trait is that it forms the hardcore surface around a very weak and vulnerable inner marshmallow like sense of self. This is the mask of narcissism. This is the mask of narcissism. Now, some of us are going to hear that and we're going to feel pretty sad, right? Compassionate, empathetic. We're going to feel something for the narcissist. We're going to feel like, oh, they're really weak inside. They're really not the person that they project themselves to be. And I'm going to caution you against that. Because even though they are putting on a mask of a very weak, like she says, marshmallow like sense of self, a very vulnerable sense of self, that does not take away from the amount of damage, the devastating impact that they actually have on people. The people who are victims of narcissists does not view the narcissist as someone who's weak. They just simply don't. Because that person, their violence isn't weak. The pain that they inflict physically, sexually, financially, it's not weak. It's not weak in any way. Right? So it's almost like, even though you want to feel sorry for this person, knowing that really behind that mask is really a very child, but not necessarily like childlike in the sense of innocence, um, but childlike in the sense of they don't even really possess the ability or the desire to change, but they are a grown person, right? Which means that they can actually inflict a lot of damage physically, sexually, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise. Okay. Let me speak to y'all. Hey, y'all. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Hey, Cuzzo, you're good, sweetheart. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and supporting the channel. If you don't mind, just hit the like button, hit the heart button, hit a button, honey, share this, and let people know that we are talking about this. And no matter what happens, I am not going to lose my resolve in this situation. I know that I am helping people, and I know that I'm helping myself. And even if I'm only helping myself, I'm worthy. I'm worth it, you know? And so are you. You're worthy and you're worth it. For us to have these types of conversations, even when we are misunderstood, even when we're gaslit, even when people come on our own platforms and our own posts and try to gaslight us, I am still very much committed to what I'm doing. And I know in my spirit that I'm doing the right thing. So let's keep reading. The strong and resilient facade disguises the vulnerable and insecure true self that seeks to be approved and admired. However, researchers now see narcissism as multifaceted. Okay. So people were getting smart about this. Okay. We're getting smart about this. And the only reason we are getting smart about this is because people like me, people like you are speaking up about your experiences. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You got to speak up. Okay. So here it says a bit of the right kind of narcissism can make someone a great leader. Okay. Too much of the wrong kind, the kind that lives behind the mask. And you have leaders with the potential to disregard public scorn, no matter how far they deviate from social conventions. And this is what we're seeing in my father right now, because he's carrying on the role, wearing the mask of a pastor. So if he was to actually take down that mask of being a pastor, then who is he? Who is he? Right? Think about it. If he wasn't a pastor, if he didn't wear that title, and I told you about the things that he did, then you would look at him differently. But because he wears that title, you give him, and I'm saying you as in general, not you guys, because I know y'all know better, okay? but but people will give him the benefit of the doubt. They'll give him graces, they'll give him leeway, they give him access to their lives, even though, like, people will still seek my father for marital advice, even though he tried to kill my mother, his own wife, who was the co-pastor. People will still allow my father to counsel or mentor or like do things with their children, right? Even though he abused his own children. But because he wears the title of a pastor, you give him a benefit that he does not deserve, that he does not earn, that he does not even qualify for. Okay, but see, that's a whole other topic, okay? Because the Bible talks about the qualities and the characteristics and the basically the job description, right, of a pastor, and my father simply does not qualify. But because he continues to call himself that, we give him the benefit of the doubt. And they meaning narcissists and those who are in this, in who engage in this type of behavior, they know what to do. They know exactly what to do to get you to let your guard down. Okay. But we're getting smarter about this. So I'm going to keep on reading here. It says personality psychologists who study narcissism believe then that it comes into four flavors. No, two flavors. I'm sorry. I don't even know why I said four. Into two flavors. Pathological narcissism is the version behind the mask. Okay. People high in pathological narcissism become miserable when things don't go their way, particularly when they are forced to confront their inadequacies by others who shun them and cause them to feel small. Can y'all see that happening in real time? Y'all see that happening in real time, right? The normal variety of narcissism is found in more or less a degree in everyone. And see, I've said this before that everyone has a certain level of narcissism, right? A certain level of like selfishness, a certain level of like narcissistic traits, right? But if we say that, it's almost as if we are diluting or um we're somehow like not showing the severity of the narcissism that is this type of pathological narcissism. This is a dangerous type, right? So it exists on a spectrum, right? And according to a lot of psychologists, everyone is on this spectrum. Everyone has a touch of it, right? But then there are some who are more on the extreme end of things where it's absolutely dangerous. And it doesn't even really matter what you say or how you try to show these people the error of their ways. They are committed to this type of behavior. They're committed to who they have become. We can say it's a mask, but it's who they are, you know? So let me keep reading. It says, at best, people high in normal narcissism tend to be outgoing, like extroverted. But at worst, they have a strong sense of entitlement, expecting others to go out of their way to make their lives easier and better. Both pathological and normal narcissism contain maladaptive elements, but the balance is shifted toward adaptive in the normal form. Leaders may be high on healthy narcissism and perform decades of service to their profession or the public without incident. Now, we have seen where there are some people that we know are narcissistic, right? But they haven't harmed anyone, right? So it's like their behavior, like we can acknowledge that it's narcissistic type tendencies, but they haven't harmed anyone. They're not a threat to anyone. It's more of you just really may not want to be around them, or maybe they like you're kind of drawn to their personality, but you recognize that there's some things about them that ain't quite right. You know what I'm saying? But now this was in 2013, okay, that when this article was written. So we've seen now, that there is a bit of a change in kind of how that is playing out in this sort of normal narcissism and this pathological narcissism, okay? So it says add in hold on. Okay, add in a dose of the pathological variety, however, and they disappear behind the grandiosity that masks their inner feelings of weakness. Okay? Now, when you also add in a person's violent tendencies, right? You think about how some of the things that people have always said about abusers is like you'll see different types of behaviors like cruelty towards animals, um, their the way they treat women or the way they treat children or the elderly. It's like it's certain things about them that you just know are harmful to a certain demographic of people, to all people, to animals or something like that. This is the more dangerous variety of people. But these are traits that like they have in them. So it's almost like we can't even really look at this to the point where we can there's some saving grace for these people, because the best thing to do is really just distance yourself. So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, and it says the study's key findings pertain to the effect of a good day or a bad day on participants, depending on their levels of the good and bad forms of narcissism. The individuals with high levels of vulnerable narcissism tend to feel worse about themselves on days when others either rejected or argued with them. However, if they also were high on the leadership facet of healthy narcissism, these potentially damaging events had little effect on them. As the authors state, the facets of narcissism that concern leadership appears to preserve the self-esteem of individuals in the face of social rejection or exclusion. So she's even saying here that is some people who are unaffected by us even calling them out, right? They're unaffected by the public shame and the scrutiny for their behavior. Now, we say unaffected. Obviously, there is some effect on them. It probably hits at their vulnerabilities that they already have, but it doesn't affect them in the way that it causes them to actually change. It doesn't affect them in the way where they actually realize that they are hurting people, that people are people. Okay, first of all, because they'll objectify you, right? So it's like your existence is for their benefit, for their gain. And when you no longer are beneficial to them, then they'll discard you. They'll throw you away. They'll use you till they have used you up. Okay. And then if they feel like they can get some more blood out of you, they'll have you back. And then they'll do it again. They repeat the same cycle. But there are some people who are unaffected by their own behavior, by the shame and the exposure of their own behavior. Okay, and it says here similarly, people high in grandiose exhibitionism were able to keep their heads held high even on days that caused their less narcissistic peers to question their self worth. They're not even affected by seeing and being called out on their own behavior. And that is problematic. Okay. It's important to remember that these findings stem from a sample of largely female undergrads whose personalities were still evolving. However, if the buffering effects of narcissism show up in these relatively healthy young adults, how might they be exaggerated? Okay. How might they be exaggerated even more in older adults higher on the narcissism scale? And I'm going to even add something there. How much more would they be exaggerated among people who are celebrated, who are promoted, and who can maintain a position regardless of being exposed? Because I mean, think about how many pastors out there that have been exposed but that are still pastoring. They can simply pull a scripture, right, that makes you feel guilty for even calling them out. They can pull a scripture that makes you feel convicted, like you're going to go straight to hell for calling them out. So when you add these different types of elements to what we see, like in this article, for example, right, then you have to think about how much more it is worsened by the culture that we have created, that we assimilate to. And so, in order for us to really change this culture of narcissism, especially when we see such a rise in the religious variety of narcissism, and we have to look at ourselves and look at how we are enabling this type of behavior. We still go to these churches, even though we know that the pastor has slept with half the congregation, both men and women. Okay. We still go, even though the pastor has kids by multiple women in the congregation, and all the women are there and all the kids are there. Or he doesn't even halfway take care of the kids. He just got out of prison, was just pimping and pandering and drug dealing and raping and doing all the things. But because we have created a culture and we assimilate to a certain belief or religion, we are enabling the very thing that is killing us. We are enabling the very behavior that the Bible speaks against, to our own demise, right? To our own detriment. And so when we talk about when the mask drops, right, and truth is revealed, then we have to go right back to the foundation of everything I'm talking about, where I'm saying it's discernment. It's all about discernment. But even though you have observed the facts, right? You know from experience, right? Time and time again that this has happened over and over and over again, right? Your intuition even kicks in, right? Your Holy Spirit is telling you that this is totally wrong. We still fail to really act. We fail to act in a way that changes the culture of narcissism. We're literally allowing this to kill us. We're allowing this to happen. We're promoting it. We're encouraging it. We're enabling it. We're funding it. So, do you realize that when the mask slips, right? When the mask drops, when the truth is revealed, there is still yet steps that we have to make. And part of that is separating ourselves, giving these people no access, not funding the dysfunction, allowing those who have been victimized to speak their truth. Stop gaslighting people. Stop making them feel like they're wrong. Like, I literally had someone to come on my live, well, not my live, but on my Facebook today, and tell me that she feels that me sharing a threatening email from my father is out of line on my part. How long do we keep these secrets? How long do we allow this to eat us up inside and to kill us before it's okay, before we can get the okay from each other? Daughter to daughter here. daughter to daughter, how long do I have to hold on to secrets? How long do I have to hold on to pain that was never should have been mine to carry? But that's what happens in these types of situations. You have these narcissistic people, these Machiavellian dark triad individuals that are unmoved. They're unmoved by the exposure, by the awareness of their behavior. And why is that? Because we have created a culture, an environment, and society where the victim is the wrong one. It's it's sad. So what did you say, Saya? They told us in the past if you did something to animals was was um what did you say? Was a one the bad list. Females still tried again, so the list got longer now. LOL break time on having kids. I don't know if I think it cut off a little bit of your message. Yeah. That's one of the telltale signs is cruelty to animals. And in the very email that I shared today that I was told that I was out of line for sharing, my father admitted to cruelty to two different animals in one email, y'all. And then if you watch my live broadcast that I did on Facebook, then you know that I even told you that he killed an animal that I had, his only daughter. It's insane. But these are the types of things that we have dealt with. And over the years, it takes a mental toll, a physical toll, a spiritual toll. Last Sunday was my first time. Was it last Sunday? Was my first time going to church in like nearly 4 years. Nearly 4 years. And I had like a lot of anxiety around like even going, like, oh God. It was like I had to go because I was part of a committee, and part of the events that we was putting on in my sorority was to fellowship together, to go to a church together. And so as part of being co-chair of the committee, I felt obligated to go because what I'm saying, I'm co-chair, you know, but I didn't really want to because I'm still hurt, like I'm church hurt. And I just don't see that being really associated with religion in that way. I mean, I feel like my relationship with God has gotten so much closer since I left the church, which says a lot, right? That says a lot. But I just really didn't want to be associated in that way because I just see a lot of enabling behavior. And the fact of the matter is, we have a culture that is highly religious, and that is the exact avenue, right? That's the vehicle in which these religious narcissists are controlling, manipulating, and abusing people. They don't believe in what they're preaching. They just know that you believe it. They know that they can come in and twist the scripture. They can have very little to no education and put up a sign that says it's a church, and that buys them all kinds of access to you and your kids, your finances. You tell your pastor more than you tell your counselor. You let your pastor in more than you let your counselor in. The person who is actually educated and certified to help you. And not that all counselors are, right, because we have seen that there are a lot of narcissistic counselors as well, right? So when you're doing your search for a counselor, you still have to be very discerning, right? You have to really look at the character of a person. If you're getting a bad sense, get you another one. Now, don't just say, well, I'm just not going to get a counselor at all, right? Because I think that we all can benefit from therapy. But you have to use your discernment. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of us just simply don't know how. We don't know how. We don't trust ourselves. And we trust others way too much. So when the mask slips, y'all, when the mask drops, when the mask falls and the truth is revealed, what are you going to do about it? You must do something. But what are you going to do about it? And so that's our challenge as we move forward with this series of when the mask drops. Because it's not like we don't see. It's not like we don't know this stuff. I mean, we do. I could tell you guys all day long about my father's personality, about his behavior, but to be honest with you, you see it. And even the lady who came on my live and told me that I was out of line also acknowledged that she had absolutely nothing good to say about my father. Knows him, knows he's a piece of crap. Respectfully, you know, knows he's a piece of crap, but still will still gaslight me, will still say things in a way that is non-supportive of the ones who've been victimized by him. The fact of the matter is, we promote these people, we support these people, we fund these people. So they have absolutely no reason to change. No reason. And that's on us. That's something that we will have to give an account for. Because when the truth is revealed, when the mask drops and you know what you know, what are you going to do about it? So, what are y'all's comments? What are y'all's comments? That was the end of the article. In the article again, you guys, I wasn't prepared. Like I said, I had a backup plan, in case anything happened with this live and my special guest wasn't able to be a part of it. As I have no I mean, I have tons of content for you guys, okay? So like I could be on here all day every day, telling y'all so much stuff. And part of me wants to, but I also um am trying to finish my book proposal, which I would like to submit in the month of June. I would like to submit that to several agents. I want you guys to pray for me that I get the financial support and the help to really like push this message, right? Because my overall message just is discernment. And even though I talk a lot about my father, in the beginning phases of me really speaking out, I really had no idea what I was supposed to do with everything that I had, my story, with the recordings that I have, with the evidence that I have. I had no idea. I just knew that I had to start writing about it. I had to put the book out, explaining to you guys what was happening. I had to raise the awareness, but I didn't really have like a lot of like real guide as far as like discernment. I didn't know that that was my message, but I just knew I had to start talking. But now I know that God is saying to me, all of the evidence that you have, all of the documentation that you have, all of the recordings, everything is to help people to really increase their discernment. And so how can you really like get better at something than to like apply it, right? To actually like put it to use in an actual real situation. And so I have a real situation where you can put your discernment skills to use. And so that's why I developed the Kingdom Code, which is an app where people who really are committed to discernment, who are really committed to like building their discernment skills and really taking on this journey of discernment, where we can come together and we can share these stories. We can share this case of my father, the narcissistic pastor, this plot that he had to kill my mother. I'm going to show you guys all the evidence that I have, and I want you to use your discernment and like tell me, like, am I off by this, But I don't want people who don't have discernment, because all you're going to really do is come in and you are going to gaslight us and make us feel like we're wrong for sharing. We're wrong for asking questions. We're wrong for seeking knowledge. That's what you're going to do. And so you're not welcome on the Kingdom Code. I'm just going to tell you that right now. You're not welcome on the Kingdom Code if you don't have discernment and if you're not trying to work on your discernment. Okay? We don't want you. Period. And that's like as boldly and as bluntly as I can say it. We don't want you. Because what we are not going to do is continue to be abused. And what you are doing when you are gaslighting victims of narcissistic abuse is you are further abusing them. And I won't stand for it. You won't do it to me, and you won't do it to anybody who subscribes to me, who is on my channel, who is really a seeker of knowledge and understanding and just trying to be safe and move better in this world and make this world better and their worlds better. You're not going to do it. So if you are not committed to discernment, don't even hit the link. I mean, don't even, get on the app. Don't don't scan the QR code. But if you are, then you are welcome. Like this is a home for you, a home for us. It is a safe space. You can ask all your questions. It doesn't even matter how dumb you feel like the question is. I just want people who are committed to this journey and who are really dedicated to increasing their discernment skills. Otherwise, all I'm doing is telling you about yet another narcissist, yet another pastor who shouldn't be one. And I'm not that's not what I'm about. I'm committed to actually helping people. So that's my book. And I have been, you guys know, I have been working on the other books in the memoir series, as well as, creating a space for my audiobooks to be heard and all of that. They actually include recordings of my father, and, so you can actually hear what he says, how he says it. That those are the things that is going to help you to increase your discernment, right? That's how you're going to be able to increase your discernment. You won't just be hearing my take on what happened or the hearsay or anything like that. You're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Okay. So that's my benefit to you. That's my, contribution to this area of narcissism and how it all plays out, and discernment, is that I have actual practical cases and stuff where we can um really study these people. So go ahead and hit the link. I mean, not hit the link, but click that QR code. All you got to do is scan it, and it's going to take you directly to the Kingdom Code app. Also, up in the upper left hand corner is a link to my audiobook. So you can get there by clicking the link at the bottom of the screen, or by clicking hitting the excuse me, you guys, the QR code, scanning the QR code at the top of the screen. Okay. So one is going to take you straight to the checkout where you can purchase the audiobook for $9.99. Or you can just get on the app, which is free of charge, you guys. Okay. It's totally free to be on the app, and there's tons of free information on there. I'll be sharing a lot of free information on discernment, spiritual abuse. Like, I am uploading a lot of content that I've already created, that I've just been holding on to because God hadn't given me to go ahead to put it out there yet. But it's going to be available on the Kingdom Code app. So I need you guys to get on over there on the Kingdom Code app. It's totally free. Um, except for, the paid parts of it, okay, which is the audiobook. But if you have already purchased my book at the $20 rate, I want you to have the audiobook free, okay? So I know who you are. Go ahead and scan the QR code, get on there, and within 24 hours, you will have access to the entire audiobook. Plus, I broke down the audiobook so you can hear it episode by episode and really be able to break down. You'll hear my father's very own voice. You'll hear me reading to you the backstory and telling you guys, highlighting the different spiritual abuse tactics that my father engaged in when he was gaslighting me, when he was threatening me, and all of those things. Because I do realize that some of you are not able to discern, but you want to, right? You want to. So that's why I posted one of my father's emails it was threatening. It was a threatening email. Those were veiled threats that my father made. He's a covert narcissist, okay? Covert malignant. So with that being said, when he threatens, it's not a direct where you can say, well, he doesn't say, I'm going to kill you, but he'll just remind you of all the people or all the things that he killed. You know, that's how he delivers those covert threats. But I understand that not everybody is able to really understand it in that way, but a lot of you want to. And so if you have that desire, right, to not gaslight, to not try to, make excuses for him and all of that stuff, but you really have a desire to understand how this stuff really plays out for those who are on the receiving end of this type of stuff, then you need to be on the Kingdom Code app, okay? You need to get my audiobook. Okay, so I'm going to let you all go. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You guys know I have a YouTube page. I have 2 YouTube pages. I got Facebook pages. Make sure that you guys are following me on everything. You'll see me start being more visible on Instagram and TikTok in the next coming months. So please make sure that you are following me on all social media platforms. Go ahead and hit that like button real quick. I guys and your support for this channel and this video series. And like I said, when Nate is available, we will be back to talk more about when the mask drops and the truth is revealed. I believe that this is a good series for us to get into. So I really appreciate you guys. Make sure you have your notifications on so that you know when I go live. You can count on me to be live on Wednesdays and Sundays. I love you guys. Bye bye for now.